What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here to give you my favorite picks of the second and third round from day 2 of the 2021 NFL Draft. In this video, I'll give you my 10 favorite picks from the second round and my 10 favorite picks from the third round. That's right, we're keeping it positive in this video. Before I give you my favorite picks from day 2 of the 2021 NFL Draft, make sure that you do spike that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more BLV NFL Draft analysis. Let me know in the comment section below your favorite picks from the second round, the third round, or overall just day 2 of the 2021 NFL Draft. Also, let me know your thoughts on your team's day 2. Second round, third round, did you like the value? Did you like the positions that your team picked up in these 2 rounds? My favorite picks of round number 2. As you can see, it's ordered from first to last in terms of earliest to latest. Let's kick it off with the earliest pick, which was the first pick of the second round. That's Tyson Campbell going to the Jacksonville Jags. As you guys know, Jacksonville is switching their defensive scheme. A long time, they've been playing the Seattle scheme. They're now switching to more of a Baltimore Ravens defense. They're looking for corners that can play man-to-man, that can press at the line of scrimmage, that have good length, have good height. Think Jimmy Smith, think Marlon Humphrey, those type of players, right? That is exactly what Tyson Campbell is. He has good speed, great length, long arms, can play press, very good man corner. I think he was probably one of the top 3, top 5 man corners in this draft. I thought he should have been a first rounder, and he goes at the very beginning of the second round here. Now, he's not great at playing the ball, but if he can just shut down a guy on the perimeter, be physical, and maybe become a very good number 2 to a number 1 in CJ Henderson in Jacksonville. You also have Shaq Griffin as well. This could be a very nice secondary in Jacksonville. I like what they're doing there with the first pick in the second round. Landon Dickerson, the top center in the entire draft, goes to Philadelphia at pick 37. Now, Dickerson is probably going to play center in the NFL, but I could see him early on in his career playing a little bit of guard, depending on what happens with Jason Kelce and how long he sticks around as a Philadelphia Eagle. Kelce can still play, although he is not the same player that he used to be. He's getting up there in age, and last year he had a bit of a dip in his performance. So I'd expect to see Dickerson come in there pretty quickly and become a very good center in the NFL. He was the best center in this draft. He's powerful. He bullies people. He's a good leader. That's what you expect from the center position. I thought he could have been a first round pick, but he has dealt with some injury issues that probably made him go in the second round. But just basically a for sure thing in the NFL. And when you can get that in the second round, that's always a great pick in my opinion. The Eagles really value their offensive line. Christian Barmore to the New England Patriots, pick 38. Love this pick for New England. This is a classic Bill Belichick defensive lineman. He can play a little bit of 3-4 end, maybe even 4-3-D tackle. And of course, that versatility is valued in New England. He's really underrated to me as a pass rusher. I think that's where he separated himself to me as the top interior lineman in this class. Very good pass rusher, but dominant versus the run. Great size. I believe he's like 6'5", 300. Just a classic Patriots interior defensive lineman. And he'll be the best on their roster basically from day one. They've upgraded that position with Devon Godshaw, Henry Anderson. They brought back Lawrence Guy. It was a disaster last year. This was a big need for them. This was their biggest need on defense. And they get the best player in the draft in the second round at this position. I mean, that's phenomenal, especially considering certain experts and certain websites had this guy in the top 20 as a prospect, or at least in the first round. So to see him go at pick 38 to New England, even though they had to trade up, I think it's a phenomenal move by Belichick. Tevin Jenkins, pick 39 by Chicago. This is a great move by Chicago. They land their quarterback in the first round, and they still get a guy that a lot of people mocked to them in the first round. So they get him in the second round. I was surprised when Tevin Jenkins fell into the second round a little bit, because he was maybe the best pure right tackle in this class. And to get that guy who brings physicality, he's a bit of a mauler at the right tackle. He's going to be great for David Montgomery to open up holes in the run game and, of course, protect Justin Fields. So this is a very good pick, and they needed a right tackle. So Chicago, good on you. At pick 41, the Detroit Lions took Levi Onwuzurike to upgrade the interior defensive line of their new regime. And I believe this is an awesome pick. He was, to me, the second best interior defensive lineman in this class, only behind Christian Barmore, only went 3 picks after him. I think you could argue in certain systems, like what Detroit will be running, that he might be the best in this class. So if you look at New England, who maybe plays a little bit more 3-man fronts, maybe looking more for a 3-4 D end, or maybe even a nose, this guy is more of like a D tackle in a 4-3, 4-man front. He's a little bit on the smaller side, but has very good hands, can work inside with his pass rush moves. Overall, this is a guy with very high potential because of that. You don't see a lot of interior defensive linemen at his size that have that quickness and that pass rush ability. And, just overall, I really like what Detroit did in the second and third rounds to combine a more interior pass rush type with more of a run stuffer. We'll get to their other pick in the third round, but this was a good one to kick off day number 2 for Detroit. They're trying to build up their line of scrimmage and their play on the line of scrimmage to win the line of scrimmage. And this is a guy that can certainly help, especially when it comes to pass rushing. At pick 46, the Bengals finally addressed their offensive line with Jackson Carman. He is a guard, and actually this is a pick I love because it fit the need that the Bengals actually needed most. A lot of people wanted to pick Penei Sewell in the first round, and I totally understand that, and I see the argument for that. But if you go Jamar Chase in the first round, which they did, I think the guard position was one that they could have addressed much easier. And obviously they had that plan. When you look at their tackles, right, they brought in Riley Reif, who's going to be their right tackle. Left tackle is Jonah Williams, and I like him. Their biggest weakness is in the interior. And this is a guy here with massive upside. A lot of people, a lot of experts around the NFL think he has massive upside as a mauler, big guard, a guy that maybe the biggest upside of any interior lineman in this class. So maybe he's a little bit more raw than you would like. Now you have a guy who can open up some holes for Joe Mixon. A little bit of power, a little bit of push. This is a pick that helps Joe Burrow, but also really helps get that run game going, which is essential to what they want to do offensively in Cincinnati. Love that pick. Asante Samuel, pick number 47, one pick after Cincinnati. I love Asante Samuel Jr. I love his dad, of course, as a former Patriot legend. He plays very similarly to his father. He's very instinctual, very smart, jumps the ball, just seems to have impeccable ball skills. That ability to accelerate while the ball is in the air, to pick it off and go to the house, play zone, play a bit of man. He could play in the slot, but he could also play on the perimeter. I don't agree with people that don't think he can play on the perimeter. I think he can. Yes, he's a little small, but so is his dad. We've seen small guys get by on the outside and have success. Maybe he'll be better in the nickel, but I wouldn't rule out him being successful on the perimeter just because of how smart he is, right? He's not really a press cover corner, but I do think that just as a pure cover guy, he was a great pick at 47, and it really upgrades their secondary. Pick 50, the New York Giants selected finally an edge rusher, Azeez Ojulari. This is a good pick, solid pick. He wasn't one of my top 3 to 5 edge rushers, but he was just on the outside, and I think he was a great fit. I thought he could have maybe went to like Baltimore at the end of the first round, so that tells you that it's a similar type of fit within the Giants defense. But I like what he brings as a pass rusher. I think he has some things to work on as a run defender to set that edge, but I think he brings overall the skill set that the Giants needed the most, which was a twitchy pass rusher, a finesse pass rusher. And I think that's what they get with pick 50. At pick 52, we saw maybe, to some, the best linebacker in the entire draft go. Now, obviously, the NFL didn't feel the same way, and maybe they felt he was a little positionless. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah goes to the Cleveland Browns out of Notre Dame. This is a guy that, like I said, positionless, a little bit safety, a little bit linebacker, but I think his home will be within that Seattle scheme as a linebacker, or maybe at times even a strong safety. So he could be Cam Chancellor. He could be Bobby Wagner in this defense. He has great range. He comes downhill and hits like a hammer at times. Of course, good coverage skills. Cleveland, with their analytically driven draft picks for a lot of the time, is looking for backers with speed, range, and coverage. And that's why they went with this player, because that's his biggest skill set. Not saying he can't play the run, but he is on the smaller side for a linebacker. He's one of the most fun players to watch in the entire draft, and I think that's why a lot of people fell in love with him. I think he was the second best linebacker in this class, and he went all the way at pick 52, which I think is an absolute steal, especially, again, considering the fit with Cleveland. I would have been a little concerned if he went to a team that was more of a 3-4 type of style, where he was playing like inside linebacker. I like it a lot more where he's more just sideline to sideline playmaker here in Cleveland. And the final favorite pick of round number 2 is Terrace Marshall Jr. going to the Carolina Panthers. He was a top 5 receiver in this class to me, goes all the way at pick 59. I could see him ultimately becoming a number 1 wide receiver in this league. He's kind of like a Justin Jefferson light, with the ability to shake you at the line, but also, pretty tall, good body position, wins balls at the catch point. Just overall, LSU has produced very good receivers, and a lot of the times they surprise you at the NFL level. I don't know if that has to do with their offense or what it is, but it just feels like these guys have something, their makeup that they find. And I feel like Terrace Marshall Jr. is somebody that would really benefit, in this offense as the number 3 option to start. He can get his feet wet a little bit in the NFL and then ultimately explode as a number 2 or maybe even number 1 option. He just has a little bit of everything. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's good at the catch point. He's good as a route runner, good speed as well. I mean, he really is well-rounded, and I think that's a good compliment to DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, who are a little bit more of niche receivers. Like DJ Moore is a little bit more of like a running back in a playing receiver kind of, and Robbie Anderson is like that deep threat who became more of the intermediate threat this past season. But I like the trio now in Carolina. Guys, make sure you do head over to Underdog Fantasy. I love Underdog Fantasy. It's the best way to play fantasy. Best ball style. Deposit right now. You get a free $25 if you deposit right now with Underdog Fantasy using the code BLV. Currently, they're running the biggest best ball tournament ever. Best Ball Mania 2. Again, guys, Underdog Fantasy. Download the app. Use the code BLV. And you'll get a free $25 to join the biggest best ball tournament of all time. Sounds like a great deal to me. So head over to Underdog Fantasy, use that code BLV, and I'll see you there. Now on to my favorite picks of the 3rd round. Now, a lot of these had more to do with value, players that I didn't expect to see in the 3rd round that ended up making it to the 3rd round. Again, at the top of the round, Jacksonville with another excellent pick here. Andre Cisco. I know Chris Sims had him as his top safety in the class. I think some people would disagree with that, but I like him. Out of Syracuse, he's a guy that could play free safety, lots of range, great coverage ability, has flexibility to play a little corner, a little safety, and I think that's very valuable in this Baltimore Ravens system. Remember, right? Totally different, but you want a guy here who maybe could play man on a tight end, right? Maybe could play on a slot receiver if need be, but also has the range and zone where he can go sideline to sideline, make plays on the football. That is what you're getting in Cisco at pick 65. Pick 66, Kellen Mond, man. Kellen Mond is, I thought, for sure the sixth best quarterback in this class. And I think he has some traits that a lot of people would really like. He's very accurate, very good mechanically, and pretty athletic. Like, doesn't miss a lot of passes. I think he has high upside, honestly. Like, some people don't like Kellen Mond. I thought he was clearly better than the other two guys that went around this range, which was Davis Mills and Kyle Trask. I was hoping, if Tampa picked quarterback, it would be Kellen Mond. I think Minnesota got the better player here. I just see him as deadly accurate with the ball placement. He kind of carried his team at the college level, and I think that looks bad on tape. But I think what you're going to get here is like a Dak Prescott light. So you got Jalen Mayfield, pick 68. Jalen Mayfield to Atlanta. Like this pick a lot. Day one starter. So whenever you can get a day one starter, round 3 on a team, that's great. Now that says something about Atlanta's offensive line, but at the same time, Mayfield's going to instill and install a bit of toughness, grit, power, and just overall, he's going to maul people. He's big, very big, and I think he's going to bring problems up front for opposing defenses. I like this. Lidstrom's been pretty good, but now you add Mayfield at the other guard right away, third rounder, starter, love it. Okay, you still have things to do. I think, Matthews is good at left tackle, right tackle. I'm not sure about McGarry. Center, I'm not sure. But at least you got a starter on the offensive line, which I thought was a desperate need. And you got somebody that I think will bring some toughness to an offensive line that I feel like has kind of been more finesse. Like, I never fear the Atlanta offensive line running you over. They never have given me that vibe. Maybe now with this type of player, they will. Aaron Robinson, pick 71. Aaron Robinson is going to be a great nickel corner in the NFL. Smart, very good in man-to-man, fits this scheme to a T. Of course, this is the Patriots defense type thing. They love to play man coverage. They love corners, and I think that's what they're getting here. A guy with some speed, a guy with some toughness. He's going to stick his nose in there. He's going to make a tackle. Just overall, a football player. And I think Joe Judge really fell in love with this guy. I think he's going to fit in well with Patrick Graham's defense. They don't really have a true nickel corner on their roster. Like, maybe it's Logan Ryan, maybe it's Xavier McKinney, maybe it's somebody else. Like, I don't know who they're going to put there. Honestly, I could see Robinson being that guy almost from day one. Then you have McNeil going to Detroit. And I mentioned him a little bit on my favorite second round picks, but not by name. At pick 72, they select Amir. Now, they got their interior pass rush type. Now they have their big dude in the middle that's just going to take up space eater, overpower people. McNeil just consistently won battles at the college level, consistently overpowered people, consistently made you pay. Awesome run defender, so he's going to improve one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. Good pick at 72. The Washington football team with perhaps the steal of the draft at pick 82. I always say his name wrong. I believe it's Dewami Brown. Maybe it's Dewami. I think it's Dewami. Regardless, I love the player. Tons of speed. Downfield threat. He's not really refined as a route runner, which is maybe why he went lower than he should. But just explosive. Runs by people consistently. It's going to be an excellent combo with him and Terry McLaurin. I think Curtis Samuel is more of your gadget type. You can maybe put Samuel in the slot. Put Brown on the outside. Allow him to just run vertical routes. Run the odd slant, things like that. But this guy is just going to make big plays. I could see him being that absolute steal people are talking about in December as this fantasy darling of the rookie class. He is really good. I thought he was a top 5 receiver in this class, and he doesn't go until the third round. Amari Rodgers, pick 85 to the Packers. Now, I'm not in love with Rodgers the way I am with Brown, but I will say this. At least they picked a receiver. That's why it's on this list. And it's a slot receiver, a guy that's a good route runner, a guy that understands leverage, getting open in zone coverage. He's pretty good with the ball in his hands after the catch, catching screen passes and things of that nature. But I think you could see a Randall Cobb type player playing in the slot. That will help Aaron Rodgers. Another reliable option, depth at receiver. Just finally, they picked a receiver. Wyatt Davis, pick number 86 to Minnesota. Minnesota has had an awesome draft. They improve their offensive line once again here. Wyatt Davis, another physical run blocking type of guard. Of course, they're a run heavy team. This guy is going to come in and maybe be a day one starter, right? Kellen Mond's more of a future pick. Wyatt Davis is going to be a right away. He's going to compete for a starting spot, and he might win it right away because of his ability to just move people in the run game is going to be beneficial to Minnesota. Ronnie Perkins at pick number 96. Steal. Absolute steal. I can't believe he lasted this long. The only defensive end by PFF to have a 90-plus run defense and pass rush grade. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Trey Flowers. He's maybe a little bit smaller than Trey Flowers, but he has that same skill set where in college he was put in a lot of awkward positions, but still made a lot of plays, especially as a pass rusher. He's a very good pass rusher. Just put the hand in the dirt, let him go. He's really good with his hands, and he has a relentless motor. Those are two things that Trey Flowers also possessed, and I think that will make him successful in New England. It just adds great depth to that edge position. This New England defense is ridiculous. Then we have Elijah Molden at pick number 100, which is my final favorite pick of round 3. This guy, I know Chris Sims kind of comped him to Jesse Bates, and I see similarities there. But what I like about him is that range and, the ability to play sideline to sideline. Like, that's the strength of Jesse Bates' game, where he's just all over the screen. He also could, just like Cisco, have some versatility. I think that's very important in the Titans defense. I love what the Titans have done in the secondary in this draft. They've gotten 2 impact players, 2 players that I think will start for them, play a role for them, and are upgrades for them with Farley and Molden. This is a playmaker, ball hawk, and a guy that could play as that deep free safety. I love it. It's going to be interesting to see how he works off of Byard. Maybe they move Byard more as a strong safety, or they keep him at free safety more so and put Molden, in a third safety role to start. We will see how that develops in Tennessee, but I love the pick. Those are my favorite picks from round 2 and round 3 of the 2021 NFL draft. My favorite picks of day 2 from the NFL draft. If you enjoyed, Gronk, spike that like button. Comment below your opinion on my favorite picks and let me know your favorite picks in the comment section below. Don't forget to head over to Underdog Fantasy, get that $25 for free, and play in Best Ball Mania 2, baby. All right, thanks for watching. It's Mitch. Peace.